it's Kizzybug here. I hope y'all have been doing good. I'm sorry I have been away from doing speak-outs lately. Sometimes it's just good to take a breather and focus on something else for your own mental well-being and sanity. So to give myself a break, I've been working on my son's videos for my other channel. And when I haven't been doing that, I've been busy working. As always, I am ever watchful and observant. I was able to mod for Roasted's latest live stream, and oh my god, those flying monkeys swooping in and doing everything they can in their power to deflect, excuse, or using whatever tool they felt they had at their disposal to get the focus off of addressing the abuse. Today I wanted to talk about the flying monkeys' comments, and finally what kind of effects their videos may have on innocent children who view the content on the channels. I do hope this helps people out there with children. Our children are our future, and we need to protect them. So, one of the things that the flying monkeys like to throw out there is that the old man's dead. Listen here. Death does not absolve abuse. I made a video on that using the same title there. You can pass away, but that doesn't excuse every crappy thing you ever did as a human being. Heck no, it doesn't. And sorry but not sorry, I do not view him as a YouTube legend. His own 4 children have shared one abuse story or another from their own childhoods with him. And look, I'm not throwing shade. I know that they love their father, regardless of the abuse and trauma that they have all gone through. I won't judge them based on their feelings, because their feelings deserve to be heard and validated, no less than their stories of what they have gone through. There's nothing wrong with loving a parent, even if they weren't great as a parent. But there is something wrong with trying to excuse their behavior. Mental illness is never an excuse to be abusive towards anyone. It doesn't matter if it's physical or emotional. You don't have the right to abuse anyone. You have a bad day? Still no excuse. So covering up the abuse, or covering for someone in general, is definitely not okay. You aren't doing anyone any favors there. If anything, covering for a person is still enabling them and allowing them to continue the cycle of abuse. And that's just how it is. The one thing that concerns me is that I believe only one of the 4 children has sought professional help for everything that she had gone through. And I think it's great. However, the other 3 kids have not gotten the help they desperately need. We've seen mental breakdowns, addictions, depression, and PTSD show up in their videos. That's because they have residual trauma left from all the years of abuse. I literally feel bad for them. This is why getting help is so vital for the abuse survivors, and even for the victims, especially if you're a domestic abuse victim. The first few days after you leave your abuser, and I would say it's very crucial, because without support, a victim is likely to return to their abuser, and that could be a fatal mistake. When it comes to abusing others, your death does not erase the emotional scars or trauma you left behind on your victims. And when that trauma is not dealt with as you grow into an adult, you are very likely to repeat the abuse you went through as a child. So what it boils down is to get help to further prevent generational abuse. Deal with your trauma so that you don't miss out on the opportunity to have a wonderful life. Will life always be rainbows and butterflies and everything nice if you get help? No. We aren't promised a rose garden, and life has its own rules and ups and downs. However, you will be equipped with the tools necessary to protect you and your children from becoming a victim all over again. You will learn to recognize the red flags in all forms of relationships, from family and friends to even strangers. You become empowered by getting help. Never let anyone sway you from speaking your truth. I don't care how famous some people are on this platform, abuse is never funny, nor is it entertainment. And I will speak on the horrible things I see on YouTube with those content creators because children watch their content. Hashtag can't silence me, sweet cakes. Instead of worrying about me speaking out against abuse, why doesn't any of the flying monkeys or even those narcissistic creators address the abuse? And since children watch your content, and probably other adult content that they really shouldn't be watching, I want to dive in and do some research. I wanted to know how viewing such inappropriate content could affect young minds. So the question here is, what happens to a child watching this kind of content? Well, for starters, it can influence a child's thoughts and behaviors. And there is no doubt that it has done exactly that. How? A good most of the people who tend to be the flying monkeys are children. Anywhere from young children to adolescent children. Yes, little kids do follow these people's channels. Please think for a minute on that. Pretty scary, huh? And because children are vulnerable and naive, they have idolized and worshipped these content creators, and even at times get themselves caught up in the abuse coming from the adults. Some of the children have been bullied beyond belief, but not only the creators, but their own other fans. If that's not bad enough, the children who bully have learned to mimic the adults' behaviors regardless of how atrocious and abusive the behaviors tend to be. What that tends to look like is this. Bully other children on their platform, and also feel brazen enough to bully other adults. Children want to be loved and accepted, and if they don't have that at home, they seek that attention they crave elsewhere. I do believe, in some cases, that some of the children have sought that attention on these creators' channels and Twitters. Attention is attention, whether it be negative or positive, and certainly in a child's mind, it's definitely better than no attention. So, how does this influence a child's thoughts and behaviors? Well, it's like this. If a child sees violent, sexual, or unrealistic entertainment, be that of YouTube content, movies, or cartoons, he or she may internalize these images and concepts, which can contribute to them acting out at school and at home. Emotions felt from such programs can be internalized. It is this extreme or constant attachment with videos, cartoons, and movies that can lead to depression, and yes, even other mental health issues. I feel that watching the abusive content and these content creators' videos, and even seeing the abuse playing out on other social media platforms where they follow their favorite creators, will no doubt leave psychological scars on the child's psyche. If you are as old as I am, you probably heard your parents telling you as you were growing up that TV will rot your brain. Well, what about YouTube? We still like watching TV, right? So with that in mind, studies suggest watching TV for prolonged periods changes the anatomical structure of a child's brain and lowers verbal abilities. Behaviorally, even more detrimental effects may exist. Although a cause and effect relation is hard to prove, higher rates of antisocial behavior, obesity, and mental health problems correlate with hours in front of the screen. So having eyes glued to a computer monitor or electronic device couldn't be any different. So, is YouTube actually safe for children? In my humble opinion, the answer is no. Absolutely not. YouTube is a social network and has risks for children similar to those found on other social networks, including adult content, predator risk, and cyberbullying. And even if parents should decide to go with YouTube Kids, or they are strongly considering it for their young little ones, please don't. It is very flawed and not very secure to keep your children away from the same dangers that are present on the adult social media platforms and the adult YouTube site. I have read a lot of stuff messed up about the YouTube Kids platform that will have to be in a later video for me to discuss. Why doesn't YouTube take these creators off their platforms? Well, there's a good answer for that. It's because these creators have huge audiences and they make YouTube money. See how that works? YouTube cares more about making revenue than about protecting children. I'm not throwing all the blame on YouTube, however, because parents should play a vital role in making sure they know where their children are and what they are watching on TV and the internet, and etc. It is a parent's job. What do I think YouTube should do about children on their platforms? Well, in a perfect world, no child would or should be allowed on any adult platform, including YouTube. I think as far as social media goes, it should be no different than a child wanting to buy an adult video game or wanting to see an adult type of movie with the age restriction being 17 as the youngest age. But we don't live in a perfect world, and parents have gotten very lazy when it comes to being proactive in their children's lives. It is easier just to hand them a tablet or phone to get them out of their hair. They don't want to be bothered to unplug from their own devices when they get home from work. Or maybe they are also caught up in this abusive content world along with the kids and find what goes on as quote-unquote entertainment. Who knows? This is where I do blame YouTube, because by their own terms of services, these types of videos do violate their terms. And allowing those videos and channels to remain is not only damaging to children, but it no doubt has effects on adults too. So, how did I come across this content and how did it make me feel watching the videos? Well, let's go back to 2014, shall we? I was looking for crochet videos because when time permits me, I do love to crochet. I find that it's very therapeutic for me, especially if I have panic attacks which happens to me daily. Anyway, so here I am looking for a certain pattern because I wanted to make a blanket for my firstborn grandchild. Then I see this video pop up in the side feed that caught my attention. I can't remember exactly which video it is anymore because I've seen nearly every single video that they've ever put up. But it was one of the older ones. I see this little old man and I'm thinking in my mind, it's just like, the movie Grumpy Old Men. And I'm probably being sarcastic and making jokes and whatever, It's something innocent, basically. So I was like, okay, I'll take a little break from hunting down that pattern and check out the video. And of course, it's one of the ones where he's berating and abusing the mother. So there he is in all his glory, yelling and cursing. I literally couldn't believe what I had just clicked on, but I sat through it. And I remember saying out loud, what in the actual hell is this? So, out of curiosity, I started watching more of the videos. And it really did trigger my own PTSD, and my heart broke for the mother. Then I figured out the mastermind was the one filming, and he didn't do anything to defend him or protect his mother. A lot of times setting her up for more and more abuse just so he could have content. I was shocked, appalled, and absolutely mortified and angry that this was even on YouTube. To this very day, I can't forget how it made me feel. So yes, this does have an effect on adults. To say it's skits or sketches or wherever he likes to refer to them as, it's not true. That was absolutely real abuse. It was like a train wreck. You just couldn't look away from it. You wanted to react, but you were so shocked that you didn't even know how to react. It was truly a life-changing moment for me, that's for sure. That's when I realized that YouTube had a truly dark side. Before this popped up in my watch feed, I had no idea that those kinds of videos were even on that platform. Because back then, in the day, I didn't use YouTube a whole lot. Mostly, I would go on there to look for DIYs and of course crochet videos and occasionally watch a Sims video or two. But that was basically the extent of my YouTube back then. So, how did I come across Roasted Studios' channel? Well, after watching that first video back in 2014, I would occasionally check on YouTube to see if anyone had felt the way I did about the videos. I felt that there had to be someone who was just as mortified and disgusted as I was. Surely I couldn't be the only one who felt that the videos depicted real abuse. But it would be a long while before I saw someone who was upset about the abuse and started speaking about it on her own channel. I wouldn't see anything like that until 2017. I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I think my very first video I watched on Rosa's channel was the one about the scapegoat sister. At first I stayed quiet because, like I said, I'm shy. But as Rosa put out more videos, I started to comment, and that's how I ended up having a great friend who is an absolute inspiration to me. She's a spitfire, and I think it's awesome that she's not afraid to stand up and do what's right. Her bravery and courage is how I learned to speak out about the abuse myself, and slowly she has also inspired others to do the same thing. Anyways, guys, aside from the key things I wanted to talk about, I just thought you might like to know a little bit more about how things came to be on my end, and how it led to me speaking out. I love you guys so much, and as always, I thank you for your love and support. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. I'll talk to you later. Bye!